All right, we all know about the massive AI gold rush, right? You hear names like NVIDIA and Microsoft getting all the headlines. But behind the scenes, there's a company that's kind of like the hidden engine powering this whole revolution. And, well, its performance lately has been absolutely explosive. So today, let's pull back the curtain on this company you might not know, Lumentum.
First, just look at this number. We're talking about a nearly 390% year-over-year stock gain. I mean, that is an insane figure for any company, let alone one that most of us have probably never even heard of. It's one of the biggest winners in the entire market, hands down.
So, that leads us to the big question for this whole explainer. How in the world did this happen? How did a company that was flying under the radar suddenly become so critical to the AI boom that its value just went to the moon? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down.
Okay, so a surge like this doesn't just come out of thin air. It was really ignited by a recent earnings report that didn't just, meet expectations. It totally shattered them. It forced everyone on Wall Street to sit up and really pay attention.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the gap between what was expected and what actually happened. So in their fiscal second quarter, analysts were forecasting, about $647 million in revenue. Lumentum comes in with over $665 million. Same story with earnings per share. They beat the forecast by almost 30 cents. This wasn't just a small beat. This was a massive signal that all the AI hype around them was turning into real, actual money. So, what does Lumentum actually do to get these kinds of numbers? The best way to think about it is this. They sell the picks and shovels in the AI gold rush. They're not making the AI models themselves, but they are making the absolutely essential hardware that lets those models even work. And here's the key. They specialize in something called optical interconnects. Just think of these as superhighways for data. See, AI models are incredibly data hungry. To train and run them, you have to move unimaginable amounts of information between thousands of servers, instantly. Lumentum builds the high-tech lasers and components that do exactly that, moving data literally at the speed of light.
In this chart, wow. This just shows you how central AI has become to their entire business. Over 60% of their revenue is now directly tied to building out the infrastructure for AI and cloud data centers. They've basically gone all in on being the hardware backbone for this AI revolution.
But here's the thing. This isn't just about one company's success. Lumentum is riding a much bigger wave, a massive, industry-wide trend that experts are starting to call a supercycle. So what does that even mean, a supercycle? Well, it means the demands of generative AI are so intense that the existing infrastructure and data centers, it just can't keep up. So companies are being forced to completely rebuild and upgrade their entire networks with faster, more powerful optical components, which, of course, are the exact kind of components Lumentum makes. And here you can see the specific things driving this supercycle. The demand for faster components is just exploding. We're talking speeds like 800G and now even 1.6T. That's terabits per second, becoming the new standard. To put that in perspective, 1.6T is fast enough to download hundreds of HD movies in a single second. That's the crazy kind of bandwidth these AI models need. And the biggest tech companies in the world are their main customers, so Lumentum is pouring money into expanding its factories just to keep up with the flood of orders.
With a story this strong, it's really no surprise that the financial experts who follow this industry have become overwhelmingly positive. I mean, the feeling on Wall Street has shifted from just optimistic to, downright bullish.
This quote from a recent analyst report really says it all. The general feeling is that this isn't some temporary spike. No, this is the start of a long, sustained cycle of growth, all driven by AI's never-ending appetite for data.
And look, this isn't just talk. We're seeing major firms put their money where their mouth is. You've got Citigroup, Needham, Bank of America, Mizuho. They aren't just slapping buy ratings on the stock. They are actively raising their price targets. And that's a really strong signal. It tells the entire market that their models are predicting this stock still has a lot more room to grow, even after this huge run-up.
But it's almost never that simple, is it? Whenever a stock runs up this far, this fast, you really got to pump the brakes and ask some tough questions. The story is fantastic, but it's definitely not without some pretty significant risks.
So, to get the full picture, we have to look at the other side of the coin. What could go wrong here? What are the potential hurdles that could completely derail this incredible growth story?
Okay, there are two major concerns. First up, peak expectations. I mean, after a nearly 400% rally, you have to ask yourself, is all the good news already baked into the stock price? The valuation is really high, which makes the stock pretty vulnerable if growth slows down even a little bit. And second, there's execution risk. The demand is there, sure, but can they actually build and ship enough of these components without hitting supply chain snags or manufacturing delays? Scaling up this fast is incredibly difficult to pull off.
And there are a few other things to keep an eye on, too. Lumentum isn't the only company in this space. Competitors like Coherent are also fighting for a slice of the pie. The whole tech sector can be really volatile. And it's worth noting the company has a history of raising money with things called convertible notes. It's basically a type of loan that can turn into company stock later. It's a useful way to get cash, but it can also dilute the value for existing shareholders if a lot of that debt turns into new shares.
So, here's the bottom line. Lumentum is, without a doubt, providing the essential high-tech plumbing for the future of AI. They are in the perfect spot at the perfect time. But the question this all leaves us with is a big one. In a tech race that moves this fast with this much money on the line, can the undisputed leader of today guarantee that they'll still be the leader of tomorrow? That, right there, is the multi-billion-dollar question.